Welcome to our module on terrorism. We're going to talk a little bit about the word sound and the energy theft that happens in the world today when we don't move with collective consciousness and we don't build towards having a world family, meaning that we need to build towards partnership ways and not ways of domestication and ways of domination. These are actually established through church and state, which want to have a monopoly on the people, the energy, and the resources of our great Mother Earth. Now, the children even use, we got confirmation from Crow, the children even use domination language because they see it on the billboards, their parents speak it, their grandparents speak it, the doctors speak it, the nurses speak it, the church members speak it. They hear it everywhere, including at the schools. You hear it when you speak about other living beings, like we've discussed with animals, about owning them, having ownership. Are you the dog's owner? And pulling them around by the neck. We don't really give it a second thought because it's become normalized in our society. Now, when I talk about domination language, what I'm speaking of is on the billboards, on the hospital literature, in your doctor's office. You're going to hear the regulars speak about the war on cancer, battling it, killing it, destroying it, conquering it. You're going to overcome it. But there's very little in the way of partnership ways, which is the way of the sacred feminine. We would say, why don't we make peace and find out exactly where this is really coming from? Part of the reason why I taught mind-body courses, because the body is a symbolic roadmap, and it actually will evidence, it will show you exactly what's going on in the mind. So it's no wonder to me that we have bullying issues inside of our schools with our young children, because our teachers, in part, and not all teachers, remember no glittering generalities, are actually speaking domination and domestication language on a regular basis because we don't have a council of elders to guide inappropriate word sound, inappropriate balance. So that is some of what I want to speak about. The other is that I want to speak about the Bible itself. The Old Testament speaks constantly of slew and murder, like we talked about. And who did that? Well, the Hittites did. And who were the Hittites? Well, in large part, but not exclusively, they were Indo-Aryan people. They came over the Caucasus Mountains and rode in and basically killed all the women in the villages. And they came up with the word sound terminology of slut, whore, harlot. Books in the Bible were obviously, to me, replaced with more modern day names like we spoke about. And those books actually had prophecy within them that you can still pick and choose through. Now, if we look at Genesis, the book of Isaiah, and the book of Psalms, we can see many passages where God allegedly gives mankind the ability to subdue the earth. And we also see passages in Genesis 1:26 and 1:28 where man has dominion over all of the animals, but he must treat them in a just way. So that begs the question that if you subscribe to Christianity right now in this present moment, is that a just way that we treat the animals inside of the factory farms, where we're bloodletting and horrifically torturing them, exposing them to lots of superficial and synthetic hormones? I don't think so. So part of this course is to help you to awaken to the truths that are all around you, except that we've had constant cultural repetition. Our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, our mothers, and now we and our children are all repeating the same dogma, meaning the same old things that don't really work. We're still repeating the fact that we need to be modern-day vampires and eat dead, bloody animals, animals that have been subjected to all kinds of chemicals. So does man have dominion over all the animals? I don't think so. Do we have the ability to run roughshod over people that we consider to be of a different race? People that are melanated, original peoples, indigenous peoples, the pygmies that once lived, and the aborigines, and all of the wonderful people that were here in America when the story has been told about Christopher Columbus and Leif Erikson coming to the new uncharted world where there was just a handful of American Indians. I mean, most of us know that these stories now are absolutely untrue. They're actually absolutely fabricated. And if you go back to looking at the stories of the Bible and the modern day Romans, more modern day Roman stories, you're going to see that there's a lot of Colosseum, a lot of conquering and battling, because these are people that are Battle Axe Clan people. And Battle Axe Clan people are in no way, shape, or form interested in partnership ways. They don't want to cooperate, as explained by Rianne Eisler in her book, The Chalice and the Blade. As Merlin Stone found in her book, When God Was a Woman. Now, I'm not just standing at the pulpit and preaching to you as someone who strictly subscribes to the goddess only. I don't do any religion. The same way I don't do any politics, and the same way I haven't owned a television since 1985. I've never owned a microwave, and I've never applied sunscreen to my skin. I simply didn't fall for those things. You see, in Rastafari, which is something I did belong to for quite a while because I really appreciate the seed thought, the natural life, more connected to nature and the Ital food, the natural hair and the natural ways, which liberates me from all of the undue and unnecessary stress and strain and burden of colognes, fabric dryer sheets, and all kinds of things that most people think to take as absolutely necessary. I found nuggets, and as I kept gathering, they became the many facets of the jewel that became me, so that one day I can become a great representative for the world family in a council of elders, one of many in many places, far different than a leader, far different from someone who singularly makes a decision about whether or not we're going to go bomb other people. It's no surprise to me that we look to the word war, and then when we go to our church and state again, we look to the word warship. We hear all these stories about how the ships brought people over to a place that was absolutely, free for the taking. And at the same time, we hear about all these other ships that brought over human beings under the most horrific and hideous of situations, of which there's still been no reparations made for people who live on this land, and they're the ones that built the wealth almost singularly on their own backs. Their mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and on so it goes multi-generationally. So this is our section on terrorism, and it really is all about energy theft too, because every time you use the word, I hate that, ooh, I don't like her, or he kind of sucks, or, get off my dick, or what about my pussy? You're speaking about yourself in a very derogatory way, in the same way that I teach a lot of my clients to say, my leg, instead of the leg just isn't working right. The hip sure isn't feeling like it should. The brain sure isn't working like it should. Start following a way of appreciating and actually respecting yourself. It's my brain, my leg. It's my world family. It's our world that we share together. When we change our word sound, we come out of energy theft and not using words that immediately when someone says, I hate that, you start to produce a tight feeling in your stomach, in your body, because you're wondering, that's a pretty strong word. Just like the word fuck. It used to carry a really strong derogatory intonation, so people would say that word and it would really cause a severe reaction. But in today's world, it's, we see little children using, fuck this, fuck that. It just doesn't really have the same significance, but yet it's a word that has been taken and negatively cast from what was actually the original intent, which is making love with each other, celebrating each other, touching each other, and using sacred sensuality, using essential oils, plants, and flowers, and really actually adoring, caring, and caressing for each other, not just stealing energy and getting off inside of each other. So it's right, it looks like we have a lot of work to do together, but it's not hard work, and it's going to be a fun journey doing it together once we wake up and we realize the levels and the layers and the programs that we have now taken under submission in our unconscious, subconscious, and our conscious mind as normal. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in our last module.